I've been a cake designer for over 30 years. In my world was one of precision. You knew exactly what you had to do. You had to spin the sugar like a glass. The buttercream had to be smooth. If it was royal icing, it had to be velvety. And oh, if it was the fondant, it had to be flawlessly smooth. And of course, if it was the sugar paste, I was known for my sugar flowers. At this point in time, I thought I'd seen it all. I'd heard all the requests, the A-list celebrity requests, the six-figure commissions. Some people will come, they want what nobody else had had. And of course, that was what I was known for. I did not repeat my designs, so I attracted the top echelon of the society, the people who wanted what nobody else had had. So what they requested of me were architectural pieces of art. My shop, my office was my sanctuary. It was everything. I made it so comfortable that I could think, I could create. It was a haven. And I wanted when the people came, they felt so relaxed that parting with their money will not be such a big deal. You could actually say that my store at that point was like a showpiece, a sanctuary, a museum of sorts, because that was the idea, that was what I was trying to create. I was trying to display my art through sugar. I wanted you to come in and be awed by the beauty and the edifices that was possible as sugar. And then this afternoon, this couple walked in. They were in their 70s. The man was older, and the woman, she was younger, but still held it together. You knew she was that old, but she had a good body and she was beautiful. They were holding hands. Still, at this point, there was really nothing wrong. Their fingers were intertwined with an easy comfort that spoke of decades of history. You saw them and oh, you definitely fought love. These people probably have spent so many years together and they love themselves still. And it was actually very admirable. And all my thought, especially since the way they laughed aroused my curiosity, I was thinking, okay, what is so funny that you people can't really stop laughing about it? I tried to interject their laughter, but oh no, they were so carried away with their world that they knew I was there, but they were engrossed in their own world, in their laughter, that sound, reverberated through my quiet sanctuary of a showroom, even though I had music at the background. Oh, and when they finally came before me, their eyes had such a sparkle. You couldn't deny it. There was such joy that they radiated that it was almost infectious. Now, don't get me wrong, we carry joy in the office ourselves. We were like a family, but these people had something that was worthy of note. As at this point, my head was just spinning, okay, when you guys are ready, you will tell me what you want. You see, to understand the depth of my shock of this matter, you have to understand what my job is about. I made wedding cakes, or I made celebration cakes, and the majority of my clients were young, in their late 20s, early 20s, at most early 30s. When they went into 50s or major celebrations, people were celebrating maybe their 21st, their 30th, 40th, 50th birthday. So by the time you got to see the older ones, they were 50, 60 or 70. Very rarely do you see old people, Yes, my office was situated in a very prime location in the commercial city of my nation, Nigeria. So it stands to reason that because we had so much display, people will come and try to, just admire. And the way these ones were coming, of course, you knew that they were retired, and the way they looked from one piece to the other, I was getting impatient, actually. I was like, okay, it's not a museum, it's an actual office. Do you really want something? Of course, I didn't say that out. You have to be very polite, And in my mind, what they were looking for, I probably didn't have, because I didn't have the regular round cakes. I was ready to, when they get out of their own world, they would come down so I can actually usher them to the next office down the road that sold what they were likely to be looking for. Here, we were Absolute Elegance Couture Cakes. That was handcrafted for you, specially designed for you. Wherever you saw our designs, it was yours and made for you. You won't find that we don't do two molds. So I wasn't really expecting old people to be coming into my shop when they are not looking for 70th or 80th birthday cake. The air in my office didn't smell of simple, comforting vanilla. It was not the regular round cakes. They were art pieces that we sold. And obviously, my clients, they would match that decor. They were young, usually women in their early 20s, maybe 30s, maybe even very rarely would you find the 40s, and they would have come with their maybe sisters, wedding planner, or their mother. When the mothers come, I didn't really used to like it because it felt like the mothers always wanted to relive their own dreams and aspirations through their daughter's wedding, and I felt that I had to defend the daughter against the mother's will. The daughter has a will, let her tell us what she wants. Those were things that I would be doing. But let's get back to the present. This not young, old couple in front of me, what did they want? Why were they looking for me? I didn't have the regular cakes, I was not doing vanilla, all those everyday cakes. That was not my forte. I designed architectural edifices, one-of-a-kind structures that was definitely yours, and your pocket had to be deep. So my displays were towering examples of what I was going to offer them. One, you have to understand, I am a very introverted person. I didn't really like talking too much. So I designed what I imagined they would want so that when they came, there was no need for long talks. They just looked at, had a sample or had an idea through my displays of what they wanted. And then from then onwards, our talk will be short and we will go straight to the point, pick what they wanted. Now, these clients, this man and woman that came before me, they were older, in their 70s, and going from one piece to the other, actually thereby trying my patience. And unlike the younger ones who would have come in with their planners, come in with their moms, come in with their sisters, they would have looked through all the social media, all the Pinterest, and probably had an album of what they wanted coupled with what I now had, and they would be talking about my work in such reverent tones as if they came to commission their own masterpiece from a notoriously temperamental artist. And maybe over the years, I had let myself become that because I was very proud of my craft and fiercely protective of my brand. At that point, I was sure to tell you that this is Absolute Elegance, and our name is a very important part of your order. So I saw myself as a creator of legacies. The centerpieces of the most critical day of anybody's life had to be done in an excellent manner. My job was about beginnings of a new family, beginnings of life, beginnings of new destinies, and I felt very privileged to be part of that. And so sketching all those art pieces, designing them, for me was being part of a life or somebody's life's journey. So I didn't take it for granted, and I did not expect my clients to come in and take it for granted. I would be sure to tell them this was not your regular cake shop. It was where art met with destiny. So when the bell rang and I looked up from a sketch that I was working on, I was designing a 70th cake, and when I looked up and I saw this couple, the way the way they were so happy, the way they came in, their laughter was contagious. You could see the twinkle in their eyes. I was happy for them, but I was a little impatient, like, hey, excuse you, can we help you? What do you want from us? And hey, can we just get on with it? Of course, they took their time. They were older and they were engrossed in what they were doing, and it was a sunny afternoon. You could see as the sun went in, it kind of cast like its own, like framed them in such a way that themselves looked to me like art pieces. So the man was tall, dark, would have been really handsome in his days, but even now he was not bad looking. And the woman, nicely framed, with her streaks of gray, maybe much like mine now. They came. The man wore a simple, well-loved tweed jacket. She was smaller with a kind face and a halo of soft white curls on her head. Her hand, since they came in, the hand has been tucked into his hands. The truth is, if you didn't have a love of your own life at that point, you'd be very jealous because, hey, these people are old now. You're tempted to say, please, what were you doing when you were younger and you're still so much in love? So it's one or two things you could have admired them or you'd have been jealous with them. So my first internal calculation upon seeing them was, okay, this is not a museum and this is not a tourist attraction. What do you want? And to me, I felt like they would be grandparents, obviously not parents because they were that old. They would be grandparents and children's cakes. Yes, we designed them, but that's not what I really wanted to be spending my time to do with you. So these ones didn't, unlike the younger brides who would look overwhelmed and there would be a lot of oohing and eyeing. They were impressed, but they took their time taking it in. So I walked up to them. I was like, since they weren't going to come to me, I walked up to them and I said, oh, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma. Hey, this is Absolute Elegance and my name is Anne and I'm so happy to meet you. What can we do for you today? And I gestured towards, they were like, oh, yeah, we've heard so much about you and we want you to do us we want to see if we can order some cakes from you. So me thinking they just want a small celebration cake, maybe for someone in their house. So I was nicely guiding them towards the kind of cake that I thought they should want. And then the lady said, oh, yeah, we were looking to find a wedding cake. We're getting married. And the way she said, we're getting married, there was such a twinkle in her eyes. I was like, okay. I wasn't quite sure that I heard what she said, okay. I was like, okay, who's getting married? Your daughter or your grandbaby is getting married? I said, no. And this time it was the man that spoke out. They said, he turned from the cake and looked at me. You could see the joy in his eyes. That joy can wake a dead body up. It was not stressed. It was not anxious. It wasn't, it didn't look like any regular client. It was just a happy old man. And he said, can you believe it? I'm getting married. I'm still looking like somebody that they just told the bad news. I'm like, okay, what are these people even doing? Please. The woman saw my confusion and she took 2 steps towards me because obviously she could have been a woman. She would have seen that my brain is refusing to compute. It was a glitch in my well-ordered world. What was this man telling me? The professional smile on my face did not do its job. Actually, that day, that smile had faded since, and my jaw probably had dropped and the woman was looking at me and wondering, okay. Because I stared at the man, I'd forgotten that he was a client and what I was doing was actually outrightly rude. I stared at him, then at her, and looking for any sign that, okay, maybe they were just joking. All the while having my own internal monologue. That quiet, judgmental voice that I spent a lifetime cultivating started to scream, married? Hey, married, they're getting married, but they're old. And you have come again. I tried to stop myself, but I couldn't because, hey, the fact that I tell people the fact that you are quiet does not mean that nothing is going on in your head. And I don't put to words what goes on in my head all the time, but they go on, all right? So I was just there. They thought it was so ugly. I mean, your job is to sell cakes. Why are you judging these people for crying out loud? But hey, judgment was the middle of everything that I was doing. And in that single moment, I reduced 2 fantastic things to their age. And I gave myself the right to judge them. So what if they were old? But the Bible not says, judge not so that you will not be judged. Did the Bible not tell us to defer to other people, revere other people, consider them, let them have their life. Don't contain them. We have all of this. But hey, I wasn't going to be living out the Bible at this point in time. I was there wearing my judgment cap and reducing people who brought their money to come and improve my life. I was there reducing them to their age and judging why they should not be as happy as they were, as if my joy, all my happiness depended on theirs. So my preconceived notions rushed forward. Weddings, I thought, in my notion, was for the young. Weddings were about starting a life. It's not about for the people that their lives was already getting to the finish line. Because in my head, I'd already said these people. How many days is left? That's how I calculated how many days remain in this thing. And where would they be having the ceremony? Why would they be coming to my shop? Because the ceremonies, the people who come to my office, their ceremonies are for show. They are the ones with the 2,000, 5,000 crowd. These ones, how many people will come to their wedding? Who wants to go to an old person's wedding? Those were stuff that was going on in my head, and I had clients in front of me. They were not my mates. They were clients who were going to pay me money. Can you see? And I would pride myself that I was Christian. And in that moment, I wasn't doing anything Christian at all. I was doing everything against the word of the Lord. So when they informed me that what they wanted was a wedding cake, that first thing that you do in sales, oh, so wonderful, we're so happy to have you here. I will help you to choose the perfect wedding cake. I wasn't thinking their wedding cake. I was just thinking, please, can we just get on with it? Or please, you will go where you need to go, because I don't know why you're wasting my time. I was trying to tell them, the industry jargon, when you don't want to, you don't particularly like a client, and you start to give all the long processes where you couldn't do what you were supposed to do at a point in time. I knew it was wrong, everything I was doing, I knew it was wrong, but I just couldn't bring myself to stop. On a normal day, I would be the one preaching against everything I was doing. But this particular day, I was the physician that could not help himself. The woman, her name Eleanor, she probably saw my confusion, she saw everything. And then she walks up to me, she took her time walking towards me gently. Maybe she wasn't even pretending that she saw my prejudice, my confusion, my disguise, And if she had been young, she would have probably been offended, maybe left me a 1-star review. But this one, she didn't do that. I'm going to say that I'm sure it is the age, the maturity that made her. So she walks up to me, lets go of her fiancé's hand. His name is Arthur, by the way. So she walks up to me and says, I know what you're thinking, my dear. She even calls me dear. Can you believe that? She says, we get that look a lot. Her words were a pinprick to my balloon, the direct acknowledgement of my judgment. And she offered it at a trace of malice. She showed me that she was not only old, she was a woman full of grace who understood that my persona needed some lecturing. And what she said completely disarmed me. Since they came in, this was the first time that I was becoming present in what needed to be done. I felt shame, and her calmness, even though it disarmed me, also humiliated me, because behind my professional facade was a dark mind. But her grace brought me back to light. So I had to say, oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Because at this point, there was no hiding place for me. So I had to apologize. I'm so sorry. And she goes, no problem. It's okay. It's okay. We see it a lot. Our story is a little unusual. Perhaps if we told you, it will make more sense to you. This woman is something else. I don't know that they sent her to me just because of cake. They probably sent her to me to learn a life lesson. And obviously, I learned the lesson. That's why I'm telling you the story. Because at that point, something shifted in me. The artist, the businesswoman, the gatekeeper, all of them, they took a back seat. All that was left of me then was that woman who had been shown their ugliness, who had been called out of their bad behavior. And instead of judgment and punishment, I'd been offered grace that I did not deserve, because I did not deserve that grace that woman gave me that day. Of course, my voice at that point had been subdued now, so my voice was barely a whisper. I gestured toward the velvety chairs actually, so I just changed my chairs in the office and I said, okay, please ma, come and sit down, let's talk about it. So they sat down and he helping her. So, it was such a beauty to behold. He guided her to the seat, and as it was my usual, I'm a storyteller, so I like their story. So I asked them to tell me what their story is. So the afternoon sun slanted towards the table, and for the first time, my perfect shop felt like a gallery and more like a quiet space for a confession, my own. Wasn't them. Usually on a normal day, I would be the one asking them all the questions, but this time I was the one. You see, Eleanor began I've never been married, not once. She told me about her life as a school librarian. She guarded books, read a lot of them. She spoke to me about a life that was filled with books, the quiet satisfaction of a job that was well done. She was proud of her nieces and nephews, and she adored them. She had a small garden that she tended. She had rich relationships, but nothing that stuck. She never felt a lack. Her life, as far as she was concerned, was whole. It was hers, and she was content. She wasn't waiting for a man to complete her. She already felt complete. And she had built her own world of happiness and joy, contentment and peace. So love and marriage, she assumed, were chapters in a book just was not meant to read. At this point, Thor took over the conversation. He said, look, I was married before 42 blissful years to my Martha. We raised 5 wonderful children together, built a home, faced mountains and valleys until the ultimate happened. Martha had cancer of the ovaries, and that was what took her. It broke me, he said. I felt angry, sad. Why would God take the love of my life? What did I do to deserve that treatment? Why would he take her? So I just resigned myself into my new world of being by myself. Yes, I did have children and they had their own children, but that was their life. My life had been taken from me. And then Eleanor takes it up again, because at this point, Arthur's voice was breaking. You could tell that he was a lover boy and he loved his first wife also. Eleanor picks up the thread, a smile returning to her face. My meddling nieces decided that since I was turning 70, they needed to throw a lavish party for me. Oh, she described the scene of the party. It was her backyard, fairy lights, music. Arthur was there because his son was colleague to Eleanor's nephew. You see, the way this story is unfolding, usually it's the older ones that will be trying to do something for the younger ones. Now it is the younger ones that were trying to do something for the older one. So Arthur's nephew and Eleanor's niece were colleagues at work. Please, why didn't they just invite themselves? Why is Arthur's nephew inviting his uncle? Anyway, I guess because destiny was knocking and somebody had to be the bearer of the good news. They were introduced near the punch bowl at Eleanor's party. They started talking and they didn't stop. There was nothing they could not talk about. They talked about books, about gardening, about losing a spouse and never having one. They spoke about their past, their regrets, their small joys. Arthur said it was like a black and white movie, slowly, impulsively bleeding back into technicolor and right before their eyes. Eleanor said it was like meeting someone who spoke a language her soul didn't even know that it needed. It was such a beautiful thing to behold. I was already imagining how I would pen their stories, because at that point in my life, I did write on a monthly basis for a wedding magazine, and my job then was to write all these love stories that will make you want to get married, so that the magazine made money, and in turn I got money because brides wanted to come to someone who got their life stories so deeply. So hey, I was already garnering my points and I was happy to be part of this. So their courtship was not frantic tears or late night clubs. It was slow, it was deep, it was long walks, it was him helping her to prune her roses, it was her showing him how to cook his late wife's favorite pasta meal, her reading him novels on the long porch swing. It wasn't the fiery, desperate love of youth. This was in their 70s, It was something else, a quieter, more profound connection, built not on the promise of infinite future, but on the appreciation of the preciousness of the now. As I listened, my entire world shifted. My own notions of love felt so flimsy, so adolescent in comparison. And don't get me wrong, I am not a spring chicken myself. By this time in question, I had done a couple of decades in marriage, but their love was so contagious, it was so admirable. My work, which I thought was the pinnacle of romance, suddenly seemed only to be scratching the surface on the backdrop of their own love. I had been celebrating the promise of love by what I did on a daily basis, but these two were living out their most profound, resilient truth. My shame was gone and replaced by a humble awe. I really admired God, in the sense that there is nothing that God cannot do. There is no, when it is time, it is time. You don't lose with God. So imagine somebody had waited all their 70 years. They didn't find love. They found it at age 70, and the whole thing is collapsed into one. It's only God Almighty that can do that. Arthur told the final part of the story. A few months ago, we were at her grandniece's 5th birthday. Eleanor was on the grass showing the little girl how to make a daisy chain, and she was laughing. As I was watching and this feeling, it was such a total wave, he said. And the way he described the wave, me too, I felt like the wave was carrying me. So, and then he said to me, he said, look, I realized that I've been given a second chance at love, because, hey, since mother died, I didn't think I could love again. Now I know that I can love again. So Eleanor was bent down doing her thing, and there was I behind her. I went on one knee and asked her to marry me. At this point, me too, I wanted to clap. I wanted to be like, hey, whoa, congratulations, I said, because in that instant, I transposed myself to that scene to see the beautiful story of love. Love is beautiful, my dear friend. Love is beautiful. I don't know what your love story is, but don't give up on love at any age. Eleanor and Arthur has shown us that love can be found at any age. Eleanor at this point blushed. She was so shocked because, yes, she knew he was a good man, but hey, who was looking to get married at age 70? So at that point, she said, Oga, I beg, this thing we have is okay. It's very nice. It's okay. I'm very content with it. I mean, you can't blame her. She's 70. She probably wished to be married at 20, 30, 40, and now she's 70, and now you are offering her what she'd been longing for. Let me tell you something about that again. Have you ever asked God for something and it feels like God just shut his ears to you at that point? And then when he eventually decides to give you, you really don't want that thing anymore. That is a life lesson right there. The fact that nothing should consume you, and the fact that time is with God, and God is never late. God knows how to collapse the years. Eleanor tells me that she didn't say yes immediately because she was scared. I was wondering, is 70-year-old scared? Yes, you can be scared at any age. She was scared that if she decides to say yes, it will spoil everything that they had shared in the last couple of months. So she let him go away, not knowing if she was going to say yes or if she was going to say no. But when she got back to her own base, she took some time to think about it. She tells me that it took her a week, and then she realized that fear was a thief. Fear robs you of your present, it robs you of your joy, it robs you of your peace. And this time, fear was robbing her of eternal bliss. And she determined that she was not going to let fear steal that which was so important, this unbelievable gift that God has so graciously determined to give to her. So she calls him up, and during that call, makes her yes. As soon as she said that, it was as if everything went quiet. Because, good gracious, see what the Lord has done. And the quiet hum of my state-of-the-art refrigerator even then seemed to fade away. And in that quietness, I learned my lesson. It was not a gentle realization. It was a seismic shift. My entire career had been built on youthful fairy tale romance. I sold beginnings, but Arthur and Eleanor went at the beginning of the road. They were celebrating the journey. Their love was not about 50 years to come. It was about the profound, sacred beauty of today. Remember, the Bible says, don't worry about tomorrow, just let today take care of itself. Arthur and Eleanor taught me that don't go too far. Just celebrate today. Enjoy today. Let the beauty of Jesus, what he had packaged into creation for you, take your time to enjoy it. Don't go too far. I learned that from Arthur and Eleanor. They taught me that life is not about what you think that you have lost. It's about the courage to start a new chapter even when you think that the book has finished. Such a beautiful story and such a life profound, most extraordinarily life lesson that you learn from my clients, Arthur and Eleanor. I learned that the tradition of a wedding cake should not be only for the young, it is universal. It should be universal, symbol of hope, no matter when that beginning arrives. My mother used to say that it's when you wake up that it's your morning. So whether you woke up at age 12 or you woke up at age 90, whenever you woke up, that was your morning. So my professional mask was disintegrated that day. The incredible detached artist welled up. The incredible detached artist was gone, replaced by a woman that was deeply and truly moved. My eyes welled up and I did not bother to hide it. I mean, who does not like a beautiful love story? Your story, I said, my voice was thick with emotion, is the most beautiful story of love that I've heard. And you don't just deserve a wedding cake, I said, you deserve a masterpiece. You deserve a cake that tells your own story, and it will be the absolute honor of my life to create it for you. That was my promise to them. So a new energy surged through me, a creative passion I hadn't felt in years. I wasn't just taking an order anymore. I was accepting a commission of the heart. Forget the portfolio books. At this point in time, we have left all the pictures behind. I said, pushing aside the heavy albums of my past work, let's start from scratch. I told them, let's design your cake. The mood in the room transformed to joyful collaboration. We weren't just talking about flavors, we were talking about symbols. Eleanor, for her garden, suggested lemon and lavender. It tastes like sunshine, she said. Arthur, a man who appreciated the classics, wanted a rich dark chocolate layer, deep and dependable, he said. We decided on 3 tiers for meaning. The bottom tier will be square and solid, will represent the strong separate lives that they had both lived. The middle tier will be round, symbolizing the moments that their paths converge, and the top tier will be smaller but will be very delicate. It will represent their new life together. See, at this point in time, I was so excited to be creating that masterpiece for them. Oh, that design came to me in a flash. I didn't really need much encouragement. The cake wouldn't be stark white. It would be a soft ivory. It would be, the color of a well-loved book. Instead of the perfect piping, I envisioned a subtle texture, like the tree bark symbolizing wisdom and age. The flowers, on one of their first walks, they told me that they were surrounded by blooming bougainvillea. So I told them that I would craft a cascade of sugar bougainvillea flowers in vibrant pinks and red tumbling down the side, a splash of unexpected late blooming color. It will be their story told in sugar, because you don't remember, I love to tell stories, and I love to tell my stories in sugar. So this one, it will be the beautiful blossoms that can emerge at the most unexpected times on their cake. Even though their cake was a 3-tier, just bringing it down, and all the vibrant colors all taking their spaces, and just a really colorful masterpiece. As I was, for the next 2 weeks, my shop was transformed. It was a proper studio. Arthur and Eleanor's story was a fuel for my creativity. I found myself humming as I worked. On a normal day, I would have the music at the background, but this time I was providing the music because I was happy to be doing the work. There was a lightness in my step. My staff saw that, this woman is so happy now, and when that happens, you just can only imagine what was coming after. What I created was not just cake, it was a life edifice. It was a piece, it was a story of love, it was a fountain of grace, it was life lessons that needed to be told. Yes, I did spend days crafting the bougainvillea blossom, each petal rolled paper thin and dusted with shades of fuchsia and magenta, and with a little sheen, which was my signature at the time. I worked late in the night and I didn't feel it. With music, and I was very grateful to be part of that love story. I mean, I've been part of many love stories before, but that one, I was grateful. I felt like the scribe. It was a meditation. It was an act of gratitude. It was a medium. I knew I was creating a monument to hope, a testament that love has no expiration date. This cake was without a doubt the most critical work of my career. Then the day of the wedding arrived. A crisp golden autumn afternoon, I refused to let my delivery team handle it. Special project demands special attention. I chose to transport the cake myself. I didn't even let my driver drive that cake. I drove the cake because that cake held such a story for me. I felt like the surgeon transporting a donor organ because I was driving that gingerly. It was not a grand boardroom. It was a beautiful old botanical garden, conservatory, glass house filled with lush greenery and sunlight. There was maybe 50 people, their faces shining with genuine joy. I'm sure they are carefully, handpicked their guests. The atmosphere was pure happiness. There was so much laughter. All shades of laughter, all sounds of laughter. And I set the cake on the table in the center of the room, and the sugar bougainvillea seemed to glow. It wasn't just a dessert, it was part of their story. Everyone there seemed to get it. I stayed in the back, something I never do because I really don't like. By the time I'm done crafting the cakes, I just want to sleep. I don't like going to weddings. But I needed to see it through. I invited myself to this wedding. Usually they would invite me and I would say, I don't want to come. I was part of the process, so I wanted to be part of the finish. Everything spoke gratitude. They came in with holding hands, exchanged their vows, the ones that they wrote themselves. It spoke joy, more like this is how love is supposed to be. It was just sheer bliss. The grace of finding love a second time for Arthur and finding love at an old age for Eleanor. There wasn't a dry eye in the room, including mine. And trust me, I don't cry easily, but that one I cried. As I watched them approach the cake, Arthur placed a strong, steady hand over Eleanor's delicate, wrinkled one on the knife, and together, she looked at him, he looked down at her, and together they brought the knife down, and my eyes followed the knife. Like I said, I'm a storyteller. I've told countless stories, written so many love stories, but this one was to be written on glass. Arthur and Eleanor, they did not just buy a cake from me. They gave me a gift that was far more valuable. A gift that the most extraordinary love stories don't compare to. Because their story taught me a life lesson, and I'm just going to quickly reiterate those lessons. First, don't judge. 2, don't limit. 3, be open. 4, God is still in the work of doing miracles. Love can be found at any time, and there's always a new beginning with God. It doesn't matter how old you are. Time with God can be collapsed. God can do anything. And love is worth finding. That is my biggest lesson. At any age, love is worth finding. Like Arthur, you may have lost the love of your life and you have given it all up. Maybe you thought you buried love when you buried your spouse. But like Arthur found it again, found out that God can recreate love for you. And if you're Eleanor and you thought that, hey, love has an expiry date. She was over 70 when she got married for the very first time. What am I saying to you? I'm saying do not give up on love. Love is worth finding. Their story made me a much better artist, made me a much better person, and certainly made me maybe now a very emotional storyteller because, hey, I told stories. And I'm sure many of you also have similar experiences. Has a stranger ever taught you something that completely changed your perspective? Could you share some of those stories with us in the comments? And if you'd like to hear more stories, life lessons actually, people's lives, typifying the words of the book of all books, the Bible, that is what really makes me happy, and I hope it makes you happy too. Today I still think about Arthur and Eleanor all the time, especially when I feel myself slipping into that old cyclical habits of mine. Their laughter in my quiet shop is a constant reminder that life is so much more bigger and much more surprising than these little boxes we try to put in it. They taught me that every person who walks through your door, my door, has a story that you cannot possibly imagine. All that needs to happen is that you're willing to listen. I know you have your own story too. I know you have your own story too. And throughout this story, I have pulled out, Bible references that teach us, what their lives taught us. Love always protects. I saw Arthur protect Eleanor like his life depended on it. He was so mature about it and so effortless about the way he did it. And I saw the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. They are new every morning. There's always something new with God, and better be ready to embrace it. Bible says in Isaiah 43:19, behold, I do a new thing. Now it springs forth. When you perceive it, I'm making a way in the wilderness. God can do anything. He can make everything new at any age. I saw that in Arthur and Eleanor's life. And I saw many more verses and I saw that I needed to humble myself. That was in James 4. Humble yourselves before the Lord so God can lift you up. If I did not humble myself, I would never have learned that lesson that I learned. And that lesson has stayed with me till now. And I did see that I was not supposed to judge. So I don't know what the lessons that you have learned from this story is. What I know is that life teaches us on a daily basis. So whatever your own lessons are, how about you share it with me? And for today, I want you to know that I value you. I think you also have a good story to tell, life lesson to teach, and I cannot wait to hear from you. And I'm sure I'm not alone. Every other person who is listening on this channel also wants to hear from you. So don't deny us of your grace. For now, I want you to know I love you. Tuning into this channel, keep inviting people, keep sharing, keep commenting, and together we will move our world along. I love you. God loves you more. Bye-bye.